How could the Philadelphia Eagles surprise us during the 2026 NFL Draft? We'll talk about it next.
You are Locked On Eagles, your daily Philadelphia Eagles podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks so much for making Locked On Eagles your first listen each and every day. And thanks for making the Locked On Podcast Network the number one sports podcast network. Welcome into this bonus show for Monday, March 23rd. I want to get into some draft talk. And I think the Philadelphia Eagles are pretty unpredictable when it comes to the early rounds of the draft. I think a lot of people think the opposite, that they're very predictable. But as I mentioned on the show today for Mock Draft Monday, if you look at Howie Roseman's track record over the last couple of years, it pretty much leaves everything now on the table. Before 2024, I think we all would agree that the Eagles normally go offensive line, defensive line, or wide receiver in drafts where they feel like they already have their franchise quarterback. But then they went corner in 2024. In 2025, they went linebacker safety. So although this is a year, I feel like it's really set up for the Eagles to get back to their roots and either take a receiver, take an edge rusher, take an offensive tackle. Again, these positions that the Eagles invest heavily in the NFL draft early rounds, those positions they invest heavily in. I do think they could surprise us again. Now, does that mean the Eagles are going to take a linebacker again in round 1 or round 2? Absolutely not. Zach Bond, Jahad Campbell, they are the featured two inside linebackers moving forward. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. and Smile Monded are really solid depth. Cornerback, you're set. You've got Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, two first-team All-Pros. Reek Woolen, I think, is one of the best third cornerbacks in all of football. I think he's probably the best CB3 in the entire NFL. So I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think they're going to take a running back with Saquon Barkley still in that backfield and the contract that he's in, unless Jeremiah Love falls to the 23rd overall pick. Then, all right, we couldn't have a conversation. But I do feel like there's some other positions that they could take that maybe we're not expecting. Again, it's not going to be corner. It's not going to be linebacker. But safety, could totally see that. Tight end, not a position the Eagles normally go for in round 1. If Kenyon Sadiq falls in striking range, I think that's an option. But there's two spots that I think people aren't talking about enough that are very much on the table. Like, we've all had conversations about the Eagles taking Kenyon Sadiq. We have discussed the idea of going Emmanuel McNeil Warren at safety or Dylan Thieneman out of Oregon with that 23rd overall pick. We have discussed some of those other spots. But I think the interior of the trenches is a possibility. Not just guard on the offensive line, but also defensive tackle. Are those two areas of immediate need for 2026? No. But when you think about it for the future, Landon Dickerson reworked his contract this offseason. So now he is not under contract after 2027. Before last week, the week before, I think it was, Landon Dickerson's deal went through the 2028 season. Now it's a reworked 2-year contract. He has contemplated retirement over the last, I would say, probably 2 years, and he maybe almost was close to hanging them up this off season. So he could retire if injuries continue. Tyler Steen is a free agent after the 2026 season. If he performs to an average level like last year, they're probably not going to give him an extension after this year. Guard is very much on the table. They got Ioane from Penn State, who's the number 1 interior offensive lineman in this draft, is actually in Philadelphia right now on a top 30 visit. So he's visiting from Penn State. And I think if he fell to the 23rd overall pick, is he a long-term tackle replacement for Lane Johnson? No. Would you prefer that if you're taking an offensive lineman early in this draft? Yeah, I would say so, over taking a clear and obvious guard. Right? You hope you could get a guy that can maybe do both, play guard early on and then eventually tackle. But Ioane is somebody that could be an anchor of the interior of your offensive line for a very long time. And considering both guard spots do have some long-term question marks, I could totally see that. Even defensive tackle, yeah, you just paid Jordan Davis. They're going to pay Jalen Carter long-term. You have Moro Ojomo, who's an elite third guy for 2026. But because they paid Jordan Davis, because they paid they're going to pay Jalen Carter. Maybe they turn around and also pay Moro Ojomo and go really cheap on the edge, and maybe don't pay Nolan Smith, don't go after a Jonathan Grenard, and they go with inexpensive players on the outside. Maybe they keep Ojomo long term, but I think Ojomo's going to have another great year, and that'll be 3 elite seasons in a row as a pass rushing defensive tackle. Look what Milton Williams got with New England for just 1 or 2 elite years. Like 2024 was the first true breakout year for Milton Williams, and he got over $25 million a year. Ojomo, if he puts together 3 strong years in that rotation, I think he can command that kind of contract from another team as well. So the Eagles like to be deep and have elite talent when it comes to pass rushers on the inside. And I don't think Jordan Davis will ever be like a top tier pass rusher on the interior. Obviously last year he took a huge step, but I think having elite pass rushers on the inside is one of the main key components to a championship level defense and a championship level roster. So if Peter Woods from Clemson falls down the board, he might be one of the best players available, and the Eagles might envision, this year he's the 4th guy, so it might not seem like a good pick, but Peter Woods could be the long-term replacement to Moro Ojomo as that just elite one-on-one pass rusher next to Jalen Carter that rotates through with Jordan Davis. So I'm not predicting it, but I think the interior of the offensive line is very much on the table. Guys like Peter Woods from Clemson, who just has such an explosive athletic profile for a guy of that size. Vega Ioane, the best true guard in this draft class coming out of Penn State. Caden Proctor from Alabama. If you don't think that his athletic limitations will allow him to be an elite tackle at the next level, that kind of mauling power and size, though, might translate really well to guard. So maybe you draft him and he's like a swing tackle as well in round 1. I think that's very much on the table and could be something that surprises Eagles fans next month. All right, guys, we'll wrap up this bonus edition of Locked On Eagles. Coming up next, the flag football tournament from Fanatics was this Saturday, and it got me thinking about what Eagles could play for Team USA in the Olympics. I got some nominations coming up. But first, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The tournament is here, one of the best times of the year. Brackets, buzzer beaters, upsets. It's nonstop action from tip-off to final cutdown. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a way to stay in on the action all tournament long. Here's the best part. You get up to $300 back in bonus bets every day for 10 days. That means 10 chances to stay involved throughout the entire tournament. You can mix it up however you want. Game picks, futures, or even same game parlays for bigger potential payouts. It's perfect for the tournament because every day there's something new, different matchups, new storylines, and more ways to get involved as the bracket unfolds. So visit FanDuel.com to sign up today. That's FanDuel.com to get in on the action. We're also sponsored by Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that really says it all. In the minute that I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching, more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credits to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Go to Indeed.com/podcast right now. Support Locked On Eagles by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And one final shout out to our sponsors today. It's 5 Hour Energy. Welcome to the 5 Hour Energy flavor draft with 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, or Cotton Candy. There's something new for everybody. It's not just those flavors. Maybe you're into the classics like cherry, of course, sour apple. You've got Hawaiian Breeze, so many different new flavors of their zero sugar shots. And that is the best part of 5 Hour Energy. On top of the great flavor, it gives you that energy to get you through the grind each and every day with zero sugar. So head over to 5hourenergy.com or Amazon to get the new flavors of 5 Hour Energy. All right, Eagles fans, wrapping up this bonus edition of the Locked On Eagles podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in and making us your first listen each and every day. So I had a lot of fun with the Fanatics flag football tournament on Saturday. I know it's kind of gimmicky with, Logan Paul in it and some YouTubers, but I do think it was really intriguing seeing the Team USA professional flag football players kind of expose the NFL players in a completely different sport. Like it's a different kind of football. And that was really intriguing when it comes to that debate about who should be on the Olympic flag football team in 2028 and Team USA. For me, I think if you do put together a bunch of prime NFL players that are stars right now that fit more of the flag football brand, fast guys, compact players that are at receiver, at nickel, corner, I do think they would be a lot better against Team USA. And I do think that you'll want the NFL product in the Olympics. And I don't think it'll be a good balance of actual flag football players and some NFLers. I think from an entertainment perspective, we all want the NFL guys in there. And I do think it'd be a lot closer if you had Jahmyr Gibbs out there and, prime Jamar Chase, some of those guys. I do think if there were any Eagles players that I'm trying to get to the Olympics, if I can nominate 2 players on offense and 2 players on defense for Team USA that I would love to see the Philadelphia Eagles get on that roster. I think on defense, it's obviously Cooper DeJean. I mean, a multi-sport athlete, nickel corner with some legit speed, legit ball skills. I think he would translate really well to the flag football game that, again, is more compact, and it really is a different sport. And then I thought about, obviously Quinyon Mitchell because of the athlete he is, but Riq Woolen, I was watching that tournament and I'm like, man, what if I could get a 6'4" guy out there that runs a 4.26? That's a former wide receiver with those kind of ball skills, but also has the man coverage ability of an elite player. I think if I was like the Eagles and Team USA said, okay, we want you to nominate 4 players to come try out for Team USA for 2028, I think I'm going Cooper DeJean and Riq Woolen on defense. And then on offense, Smitty really held his own in that tournament. I thought he was one of the better NFL players in that game, caught a lot of really impressive touchdowns down the field, couple really impressive conversions too from Jalen Hurts. So I would probably say Smitty and then Saquon Barkley too. I think Smitty and Saquon, some of the NFL guys were just in over their head. I think because it was quite an adjustment to, adjust to the flag rules and the flag style. But I thought Saquon, you could tell in the open field, looked like somebody that belonged there compared to some of the other NFL guys. So I think on offense, it's obviously Smitty and Saquon. But on defense, it's probably 2 of your 3 corners. I think it's Cooper DeJean and then either Quinyon Mitchell or Riq Woolen. But I think I would, right now, I don't think he'll be an Eagle beyond 2026. But right now, I might nominate Riq. I would want him on Team USA. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's edition of the Locked On Eagles bonus podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in and making us your first listen each and every day. Until tomorrow, thanks so much for downloading, watching, and listening, and let's go Birds. Fly, Eagles, fly.